Hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of the Subspace Developer Sync. Today, we're going to get updates on everybody from the engineering team on what we've been working on since last week. Unfortunately, Nazar is not able to attend today due to a situation in Ukraine. He is perfectly fine and safe, just out of power right now. With that note, I will give a short update on what he's been working on, mainly Consensus v2. He has an initial workflow, end-to-end workflow of farming and plotting that he's pushed. He's been working on doing some benchmarking for that, and hopefully we'll be able to start doing some testing and simulation of that to see what the workload on solid-state drives is for the new Consensus, which is what it is targeted for. Okay, moving on, Shamil, you're up next.
Sure. I'm sorry. Yes. Last week, I worked on the DSN v2. I created several pairs related to pieces announcement from the node, pieces provider removal, and data pooling request response protocol. That protocol enables farmers to get new pieces from nodes. This week, I started working on the pieces caching layer on farmers. I refactored the custom data storage and added new records and provider storage types. Right now, I am going to start working on the ParityDB custom storage for the networking rate. That's it.
Okay, awesome, Shamil. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the protocol sync after this. Okay, I guess that's it for the core protocol side. So we can jump into the domains and execution integrations layer. Lucian, you're up next.
Sure. So last week, I finished the first part of Palette Executor registry, which are mostly about the logic of extrinsics exposed to users in this palette. I spent some time fixing the executor test, which can be considered as pretty much the end-to-end test for the recent upgrade of merging the receipt into the middle. Several issues were spotted and fixed during that process. I also started working on the executor's rotation in Palette Executor registry. It's still a work in progress. May take another 2 or 3 days to complete. This week I will be working firstly finishing the Palette Executor registry and start working on Palette domain registry. Yeah, that's my updates.
Thanks, Lucian. Will you be able to merge any of this with the Consensus v2 changes that Nazar's been working on?
What do you mean merge?
Well, I thought that we were working on like Consensus v2 and the changes you've been making to decoupled execution were like onto independent branches, and we couldn't test them together yet because we were waiting on Nazar to finish some integrations. I'm not sure. I know you guys were talking about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, until we actually have some solid progress on the KZG improvements, I can only test the execution locally. So we can't run those tests in CI. But other than that, yeah, everything is fine.
Okay.
I can test them locally. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, Ved, you're next.
Hey everyone. Last week was mostly finishing up the initial version of Palette Messenger. We have an end-to-end flow that includes endpoints that other palettes could ideally send messages to other domains. That landed today. This week, main focus is Palette Transporter and connecting Palette Transporter with the Messenger and hopefully get some integration tests around that, see if everything works as we expected. Apart from that, I think that is pretty much it. And if there is any feedback coming from the relayer, might make some changes to that.
Thanks, Fed. Yeah, I did have a chance to take a brief look at it. I didn't see any major concerns, so I think we're good for now. Okay. Okay, we actually have a new team member today, Parth. He's just recently joined us as our integrations lead. Parth, if you'd like to give a quick update on introduce yourself and on your onboarding progress, please.
Sure. So I joined this Wednesday, and I've been specifically looking into, first of all, consensus version 1 as well as version 2. I do believe with consensus version 2, I need to understand the polynomial commitments in order to make it more sense. But V1 seems pretty much clear to me, at least at the high level. And also apart from that, I have started reading through the DSN version 1 as well.
Great, thank you, Parth. Yeah, KZG commitments are hard. Luckily, we've got Özkan and Daria here to help you with the math if you get stuck on anything.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the product team. Arthur, if you'd like to kick it off, please.
Hey, no major updates from our partner. For Subwallet, they're still working on the website translations. On Subscan, there is an issue with one of our block explorers. They've been notified. One of the UI elements is misrepresenting some of the storage data, but they've been notified of that. So we'll get some updates shortly from them. That's pretty much it for this week on our partners.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. Serge, you're up next.
Yeah, so on my side, on telemetry, no major updates because I'm waiting for the backend update, and Ivan will elaborate on that one. On desktop, I was collaborating with Özkan on separating privileges between front end and backend. It's pretty close to finalization. And apart from that, I was also exploring Subsquid in case we might need it for our own block explorer. That's all.
Great. Love to hear more about Subsquid, maybe during the app sync.
Sure.
Okay. Özkan, you're up next.
Hello. So as Serge mentioned, my primary focus was on fixing the privilege separation between backend and frontend. So basically this issue is frontend has too much power with the generic functions like reading to files or writing to files, and carrying them to backend does not solve the issue. We have to turn the write file function into a write to config file so that it don't get a path value, so that the attackers won't be able to write or read from any file. Again, as Serge mentioned, it's pretty close to finish. I just made a huge commit today. Hope Serge will be able to tackle on that for fixing the front-end tests. Aside from that, we discussed with Ivan the Subspace SDK a bit. And other than that, we also fixed the shell privilege issues. So after this file system related fixes, I believe we will be good on the audit side. The last thing remaining will be the dependencies, which is not completely depending on us. And yeah, that's all.
Great. Thank you, Özkan. It's always good to know when dependencies are not dependent on us. Okay, moving on. Ivan, you're next.
Yeah, sure. So as Serge mentioned, I was working on the telemetry on the backend side. So basically, I was working on the allowing to enable the node data sending, so that we could enable list of the nodes on the telemetry. So there were several takes on that. I'm still waiting on the review of the Nazar. So basically, we're just pinpointing about the how BSPR would address that issue that we had before. Yeah, so currently I was able to deduplicate all the null data which was sent. So waiting on the review of Nazar. So yeah. Apart from that, I was working on the SDK. We also, as Ozgun mentioned, we discussed that a bit in terms of the API design of the SDK. So yeah, but then we got the we addressed all the issues and we got the consensus on that. So yeah, that's all on my end.
All right, thank you, Ivan, for those updates. Excited to take a look at the API when I have some time. Okay, moving on to the R&D team, to our huge R&D team. Daria, would you like to give an update, please?
Well, I've been mostly all it has been the consensus version 2. I have been mostly working on the pinning down the commitments and writing down everything we've learned through all of those hundreds of pages that we read in recent weeks. I think I'm pretty much done. So I have posted on the research channel that I have came up with 2 possible schemes and constructions that we can adopt. But we can discuss it later this week in our research sync. And I am finishing up the comparison of the complexities of computation each scheme will incur, and still need to write some more conclusions about that so we can decide on it better. And I have had a meeting with Part to walk him through all the other things and research that we do.
Wonderful. Thank you, Daria. All right. And last but not least, Justin.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. On my end, just was working with some community engagement events last week. Had a meeting with the engagement team to continue our ambassador engagement team to continue to work on some of the plans that we have moving forward for the community. Been working on adding the step-by-step guide to the documentation that our content ambassador team created for us. Currently, we've just been surfacing that through Google Docs, but getting that into a more formal actual documentation page where it's a little bit cleaner of a source for the users to read from. On the localization front, we are importing the Ukrainian translation into our website, as it has been 100% translated and approved by our ambassador teams. And still reaching out to the community to try and get some more progress on the Vietnamese and Turkish translations as well. On that same note, also been going back and just reviewing existing ambassador participation in localization, just ensuring that the various ambassadors are meeting their expectations with us and everything along those lines. Another major initiative I'll be working on this week is taking a look back at the farmer journey, just trying to explore our farmers, trying to learn how they found Subspace, what was their thought process, what's their background professionally and in crypto, and just kind of their journey to becoming a farmer for Subspace, if they got stuck anywhere and things along those lines, just so we can continue to improve that process for all of our users. Beyond that, just a couple other minor community things I'll be working on this week, and a farmer survey as well that we'll be sending out to the community to try and capture some more of that feedback as well.
All right, thank you, Justin. Sounds like you're juggling a lot, as usual. All right. I think that is everyone. Any questions or anything else we need to discuss before we close out today? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for all the hard work. Thank you for the updates. Thanks, everybody from our community for watching today. We will see you some of you shortly in our protocol sync, and otherwise we'll see you all next week. Thank you very much.